Thank you, Madam Chair. Public announcements, please turn off all phones and pages. If you don't like the decisions that this commission has, if you don't like the decisions that this commission has, you can always appeal it to the council. We have appeal cards up in the front. And we also have speaker cards in the front in case you want to talk about one of the cases tonight. For public speaking, we'll give you 10 minutes for each side, 5 minutes for rebuttal on each side. Once we finish the case, you can exit the building if you want to continue to talk about the case. For the invocation, we'll have Commissioner Randolph, and for the Pledge of Allegiance, Ms. Casabon. Please stand.
Gracious Father, once again we come to you to say thank you for all the blessings you bestowed in our lives, Lord. From this time last week throughout this day, Lord, you shared your grace and mercy upon each and every one of us. We thank you for the opportunity that we can meet as commissioners. We thank you for the people that we represent, Lord. And Lord, we ask that you continue to bless us, bless this meeting, bless those that work for our parish. And Heavenly Father, we ask a special blessing upon all those that are diagnosed with cancer and those that are actually survivors. Also, Lord, we ask that you continue to be with all of our community, civic, and political leaders, our military personnel, veterans, law enforcement officers, firefighters, and medical personnel. And all these blessings we ask in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, have the commissioners had a chance to review the minutes for September 11th, 2018? Commissioner Lauren. A motion to approve by Commissioner Lauren. Commissioner Randolph.
Second.
A second. Any more discussion? If not, please vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Just like we did last week, we're going to have an election for the officers for the planning commissioners this week, where we have to vote for a chair and a vice chair. Can I take nominations? Commissioner Fitzmaurice.
I'll nominate Commissioner Davis as the chair, and I can also nominate Commissioner Doherty as the vice chair.
Commissioner Randolph.
I second that motion. If it's in order, I'd like to move that the nomination be closed.
Okay. With that being said, we have a motion for Commissioner Davis to be chair of the Planning Commission and the vice chair, Commissioner Doherty. Please vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you all. Okay, public hearing information. Request for postponements. Any postponements, staff?
There are 2018-1053-PP.
Preserve at Goodby Lakes, 2018-1105-PP Providence Parks, 2018-1227-PP Ashton Park, 4th and 5th filing, and under final subdivision review, 2018-1197-FP Southern Oaks, Phase 1.
Okay, so we have one case tonight.
Correct.
Okay. All right, from that, let's continue on. Let's go ahead and talk about let's go ahead and talk about those postponements now. The first postponement case, 2018-1053, Preserve at Goodby Lakes, Ward 1, District 3, developer owner DR Horton, Inc., Gulf Coast Engineers, Quality Engineering and Surveying, Parish Council District Representative, the Honorable James Thompson. Is someone who representing that case tonight? Mr. Shane.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, Honorable Commission, Jeff Shane of the Jones Fussell Law Firm. I'm sorry, no, I hear some feedback now. Good evening, Jeff Shane, Jones Fussell Law Firm, P.O. Box 1810 in Covington, and I represent the petitioner, developer, D.R. Horton. As noted on the agenda, this case has appeared on your agenda for the past few months. The most recent developments since we were with you last is discussions with Mr. Fontenot as it relates to next steps, because there's clearly disagreement between the developer and the parish as it relates to the implementation or interpretation of the fill ordinance as it relates to our development plan. Monday, a week ago, Mr. Fontenot agreed that a meeting should be set up, including the administration, presumably the parish president and others. I have checked with Mr. Fontenot consistently, and I think as late as today, midday, I think Mr. Watson might have been copied on that email. We were advised that he was attempting to set up that meeting with the administration. So we feel that until we have discussion with the administration as it relates to the fill issues that are presented by this development, it is not in our best interest to have the full discussion with you. We advised staff probably 7 or so days ago that we would request postponement this evening so that they would not have to work up their file and be prepared this evening as well. I think one obvious question is, Jeff, are we going to hear this case next month? And I would tell you that if we have the meeting that we have been promised with the administration, I believe that no matter what the outcome of that meeting to be, this case has to move. And so I believe that it will go forward. I can't give you that in blood, but I tell you honestly, that is my intent. My client wants to move it. Remember, we're a petitioner with a piece of property and wanting to develop it, so it's not a peekaboo on our end. But I do think good business says that there are some issues that probably need to be discussed at the staff level with the administration before staff and I come back to you and present these matters. So we would respectfully request a postponement in that regard. I might also add, as I did last month, that I believe the same explanation would be in order for the next case as well on your docket. Mr. Marone represents that client. As you know, he's my law partner. We discussed the fact that when I came to the podium that I would state the reasons for the first case, but hope that you would also take those into consideration when you are ready to look at the next case.
And that's for a postponement for 1 month?
1 month.
Okay. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak against this postponement? Please come forward. Yes, sir. Your name and
My name
address,
is
please.
David Lee Campbell, 11082 Garden Lane, Folsom. Thank you very much. We too have met with Mr. Fontenot and with Jay, and we have, this is the 4th time we've been dragged down here, 4th time. So we're opposing this delay. We think they ought to be ready to go. You think you either ought to table it indefinite, let's start it all over again. But this is an abuse of the system to drag citizens down at, it's night, it's rainy sometimes, 4 times. Something's wrong there. So we respectfully oppose the delay. I was told I could, whether you delay it or not, I can leave some documents for the case.
Thank you.
I don't know that I had enough copies for each member of the commission, but reasons for our opposition to the delay and the permits. Thank you very much. I think we have.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me, we are representing not just ourselves, but neighbors and associations, Goodby Civic and Little Tchefuncte River, Sierra Club, Honey Island Group.
Thank you.
Thank you all. I'm John Martin from the Goodby Civic Association, and this would be the fifth postponement. Of course, we have to, because this is in our area, both these developments are in our area, we have to be in contact with all our people and make sure that they're up to date and everything else. And honestly, I think, and I understand, and I know Jeff feels like he's going to move this thing, but I would really think that tabling this now, and then let them go through meetings and meetings with everybody, with y'all, with the parish, whatever they have to do, and then when they're actually ready to come back and do this thing, and it appears on the agenda, then we're gonna get the people down here and move this thing, okay? I just think it's just, this is 5th go-around, so, on that one, and I think 4 on the other one, so, let's just go ahead and save everybody time, let them work out all their details, and then that way we can, once everything is worked out, we're gonna know what we're up against, and then we can go from there, okay? I appreciate it, thank y'all.
Thank you. Jeff, if you'd like to come up, I believe opposition is talking.
Yes, sir, if I could.
Yes.
I'm surprised with the remarks from Mr. Campbell and Dr. Martin, because I met with them in my office probably 3 months ago.
Yeah.
And I told Dr. Martin that I would advise him if we were going to postpone the case, and I also told him I'd advise him when we were ready to go forward with it. And in fact, I specifically know that I called his home, left a message on his recorder.
This time?
No.
Well, that's what I mean.
I told him that the case would be postponed, and he later confirmed with me that he got my message, and he knew that I would tell him when we were ready to put it back on the docket. So the point is that these two gentlemen have met with me, I'm guessing that's about 3 months ago,
Yeah.
plus or minus, and I'm good with my word that when it's ready to go forward, I'm gonna let them know. Why would I not tell them that? And I don't think I've seen him here each month for 5 months. If I am mistaken, please correct me, but I don't think that's the case. I've never gotten any calls from him. John,
Yeah, Jeff, I think we got the point.
we might have problems on the issues, but we shouldn't have
Yeah.
problems on the
All right.
communication.
With that being said, I'm going to bring it back to the commission. Do I have somebody else in opposition or rebuttal?
And a rebuttal, or actually a request.
Yes, sir.
I'm Matthew Allen, 13058 Major Lane, Folsom, Louisiana, and I'm president of the Little Tchefuncte River Association. And in the interest of public transparency, I do believe that stakeholders of the public should be invited to this meeting also, so we get the full details of what they're trying to do and what the problems are with this development. And possibly, we could add some input that might help it along. Or if it's not good, and possibly adding to the flooding issues we have a right to know what's being said behind closed doors. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more discussion on this case? If not, I'm bringing it back to the commission. Commissioner Casabon.
Yes, I guess I need to talk to council because I am also concerned with the knowledge of what is the parish with Sydney and them. Where are we and what are their differences here? Is this something that are capable of being worked out for one more month? And kind of like, where are we in this process, between the developer and the parish? Jay, can somebody answer what seems to be the problem?
Right now, there's a problem between fill mitigation and the detention requirements that the subdivision's providing. And it's the staff's interpretation of ordinances that fill mitigation and detention have to be separately accounted for. So right now, Sydney's working with the administration to talk to them to see if there's some change in the ordinance or.
So we're looking at a possible change in the ordinance that would have to go through the council?
Possibly.
So that would take longer than a month, Jeff? Is that how you're in? I just feel like we have been at this for years, it seems, on this particular case. And I thought it was a go and we had settled everything. But, it's how long, in your opinion, will it take to come to terms, or, if we do have to change an ordinance or the requirements or so on, or can we in midstream of this developer? So,
With all due respect, we will respectfully request that the case be indefinitely postponed. I want to make sure I understand what the notice requirements are to get it back on the agenda.
Sure.
What is that? If I know next week that I want to get it on the agenda for
Yeah.
November, is that still possible?
Jeff, based upon what you said, are you stating that the applicant is requesting an indefinite
Definite.
Changing my
postponement?
request, that's correct.
Okay.
This doesn't, you have more important things to do. I know what my commitment was, but it doesn't matter. We'll go ahead, if that makes everybody feel good, to indefinitely postpone it. And when we decide to put it on, there's a formal means in which we can do it. I don't want the public to be slighted. They'll have every opportunity, but we won't have to play this game every month.
And procedurally, the commission would vote to place it on its agenda again. So it would need to work with staff for the timing of that. In other words, it can't be, once it's been indefinitely postponed, it can't just be automatically placed on the commission's agenda again without action of the commission.
So we'd have to come next month at the earliest in order to get it on the December agenda.
Correct.
That's fine.
Could I request that we, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Mr. Morone might feel otherwise, but I'm comfortable with my case.
But I'm still, as a commissioner, you know, where are we and what problems does the staff have? We have not, I haven't received a report, unless I've missed it somewhere, on what seems to be this is not the first time I've heard that the staff had some problems, but it is the first time that, you know, it's been postponed because staff and the developer, I guess I'm saying I'd like to know what's going on between the two, and if there's any way that we could get a letter of notification on what's going on, so.
Yeah, Commissioner Casabon, from what I know about the case, the net fill calculations and all that stuff has always been the problem with this one case.
Right.
And unfortunately, since Sydney with the administration hasn't come up with an exact amount of net fill that has to be put in or has to be taken out, this is the situation we're in.
So we would have to end up probably going to the council to.
Right,
So,
probably.
okay,
But with Jeff asking for indefinite postponement, I think that's probably the best thing to do at this point.
all right. Well, I'll make a motion to postpone indefinitely. Is that
Okay.
appropriate?
I have a motion to postpone indefinitely by Commissioner Casabon. Commissioner Randolph.
Second.
I have a second by Commissioner Randolph. Commissioner Willie. Commissioner Willie.
Okay, yeah, and the gentleman mentioned about would the public be invited to this meeting, and I'm not sure. But once it gets back on the agenda, can we have some type of community meeting where the public can put input before we do come forward?
It'll be posted in the agenda before it will be posted, and then the people will, Jeff, can you notify the people when the plan will come up again? Even though we have the responsibility of posting it to the next agenda?
I'm not gonna be involved in
I
any
agree.
longer, because
No.
I thought I was doing that. I thought I had an understanding, but I can pledge to you right now, I'm not gonna let the case come back to you without requiring with you notice requirements, and that gives everybody a chance to come.
Right.
And when we come and meet with you, if you decide the case is not ready to be decided and there needs to be a community meeting, we understand your process. We're not opposed to that.
Okay.
But I mean, let's do it as per the rules from this point.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I was really meant the meeting that's with the parish president and Sydney regarding, you know, these differences. Is there any way the representatives of the public can be part of this meeting or no?
Well, they met last week and we weren't invited to go to that meeting. You correct me if I'm wrong.
That followed your meeting with them. That followed your meeting with them.
Okay.
We weren't invited.
I've
So they're
had,
suggesting,
I've
let's
had-
invite each
No,
other.
hang on.
with all due respect, I have had no meeting, so
Okay.
you'll know with the parish president.
Mr. Fontenot advises us.
Okay, I think what we're gonna do is, we have a motion to postpone indefinitely and a second. The motion to postpone indefinitely by Commissioner Casabon, and I believe the second was by Commissioner Randolph. Who else wants to talk? Commissioner Lauren.
Yes, Jeff?
Thank you, Martha, as always. When you first started talking, you were talking about whatever we talked about on the first case applied to the next case. Is that, you want to postpone them both indefinitely?
No, sir, I said clearly that that may not be what Mr. Maroon wants to do
Okay.
it. And Mr. Maroon,
Okay.
waiting for an opportunity, I think, to speak on the next case.
Okay, so this is only for the 1053 case?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Darty.
This is a question for legal. We've got two members of the public that's asking to participate in the meeting between staff and parish president and Mr. Fontenot. Is that something that can be done, or who has to approve it, and so forth and so on?
Mr. Doherty, I think that Mr. Willie may be onto something. When the applicant is ready to have the matter placed back on the commission's agenda for its consideration of tentative approval, it will appear as old business. And you, as a commission, will vote to place it on your agenda the following month for tentative review again. And so, like Mr. Shane said, there will be ample opportunity for interested parties to see when the matter is coming back up for consideration by the commission again. There will also, I would suggest, be ample opportunity for, if there is an interest of the commission at that time that it's considering putting it back on its agenda, to perhaps organize a community meeting where there can be further discussion between the parties, if you will, about the issues that the applicant and parish staff are currently discussing. In my view, where we are now is we have an applicant who is trying to seek tentative review from this commission and approval. And part of that application process involves review, discussion, evaluation of the parish regulations and requirements for tentative approval. I beg your pardon?
Preliminary.
Preliminary, I beg your pardon. For preliminary. So I would suggest that what we've heard tonight is that there are still outstanding issues related to that. I think it's appropriate for the applicant to have those discussions internally with parish staff and other authorities. I don't think it's appropriate at that time for other interested parties other than the applicant to participate in those discussions. I don't think that there's a duty on the parish to provide that. Nothing restricts it from providing it legally, but I don't think there's an obligation that it be provided legally either. That's why I would suggest Mr. Willie's suggestion perhaps is the best to address all concerned at the appropriate time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have a motion to, is this, we're all done? We have a motion to postpone indefinitely by Commissioner Casabon and a seconded by Commissioner Randolph. Please vote. And this is just for case 2018-1053 PP.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Case 2018-1105 PP, Providence Parks Phase 1, Ward 1, District 3. Developer owner is Providence Park LLC. The engineer is SLD Engineering and Surveying. Parish Council District Representative is Honorable James Thompson. Yeah, hi. Glad you can make it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Paul Marone, on behalf of the applicant for this case. Much of what you just heard does apply to this case, but they are a little bit different in some respects. I would ask that the matter be tabled not indefinitely, but for 60 days, because I believe that there is, if we have the meeting that we have been assured we will have in the very near future, I think that regardless of the outcome of that meeting, within 60 days, we should be in a position to move forward. And from what I understood from Mr. Savant, is that if we tabled it indefinitely, we would have to come back, we'd have to know that almost immediately to come back under old business, to get on your agenda, to get back on your agenda for consideration. So I don't want Mr. Campbell or the Martins or Mr. Allen to have to come out unnecessarily. But I believe that there is a reasonable chance, if this meeting takes place, that our case can be ready to go in the month of December. So I would ask that the table be for until your December meeting. They would know that they would not need to come back in November because it is not likely we would be ready under a best-case scenario to present our case at that time. I will pledge to you and to them that if we get to December and we are not ready to go forward, that I will let them know that ahead of time. I will also pledge to you that if in December I cannot give you, and we're not ready to go, that I can't give you a definitive time frame for when I am going to be ready to go, that I will ask for the matter to be tabled indefinitely at that time as well.
All right,
Thank you for your consideration.
Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak against this postponement for 2 months?
Thank you. I'm David Lee Campbell, 11082 Garden Lane, Folsom, Louisiana. The documents I gave actually do apply to both cases. And we would only ask you to consider this. While there are similar issues, in the two cases, there are different issues. They're both similar and different, but the similar issues are very much in common with the interest that the opposition has been coming out for 4 months, 1 month at a time, and those are water management issues. And it would be better for us, if it's possible, and I would think for you too, to hear the cases at the same time because of these water management issues. They are in the same area. They are both Councilman Thompson and Ms. Casabon, you know. I mean, either do both to December or do both indefinite. Don't do one and then the other. That's the only suggestion I would have for the convenience of your citizens who oppose it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I guess our big problem and while we're doing this, of course, I misunderstood what Jeff had said. He said he was going to call me when it was coming up, but I didn't hear anything, and I called the parish, and the parish says, well, it's on the agenda, and then I have to let all my people know it's on the agenda, and then 2 days before, or a day before, I understand it's postponed, and then we have to shut it down. So it is a little bit of a pain in the neck, and Jeff, I misunderstood what you were saying, that you were going to personally call me when it's coming up, because I hadn't heard from him with regard to that. But one of the problems we're faced here is there are so many facets of these two subdivisions going in, so many facets about building slab on fill in a flood area, so many things that are involved that for us to present this to y'all in 10 minutes is going to be very, very difficult. And we would need to ask your permission to go longer, and whatever time we went to get all of our problems before you, we would give that same time to Paul and Jeff, that they would have the same time to talk about theirs. But 10 minutes is not enough. There are so many problems with these particular developments, and so much has happened in these last couple of floods, with people getting hurt and flooded and losing their equity in their homes and everything else, and it's all right in this area. And there's so much information y'all are going to have to gather. It would seem like that we should be part of whatever is going on, meetings going on with y'all in discussion of these things, that we should be able to have, as people that live in that area, we should be able to put our thoughts on the table too when this is being discussed, not here, but at other meetings. But anyway, that's just my thoughts. So whatever, if you want to table it for 2 months, that's fine with me. I don't have a problem with that but once again, if we're getting near that 2 months, and we've got to know a week or so ahead of time, because I've got to let my people know a week or so ahead of time, and not the day before the meeting, I have to get back to them and say, nope, it's postponed again. So that's all. It's just very inconvenient for everybody, and this is such a big problem. This is 500 homes in a flood area. This is really serious stuff that we need to talk about. So, okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Matthew Allen, 13058 Major Lane, Folsom, Louisiana. I've also got my floodplain manager certification in the past year. And there are many more issues than just what the engineering department's looking at here. This whole area acts as a spillway for Tchefuncte River high water floods. In other words, it lets high water from the Tchefuncte go into the Tangipahoa Basin. These developments will block off part of this flowway, redirecting floodwaters. And we need to have a study on this before it goes forward at all. And actually, St.Tammany Parish in the late 2007 through 2009, actually spent, from what I remember in the articles, about $900,000 on a Tchefuncte River Basin study to look at the flooding. When I came back to the engineering department, I was told it gave bad information and they were never going to use it. And I'm curious why we spent almost $1 million on something they said was bad, which should be used to study these types of developments in the floodways. And also, according to the parish's own ordinances, 11570 number 9, and
Yeah, I believe we've had enough.
yeah, all right, but this is
discussion on
why
this.
we need to have the public involved with this. You stand to divert water down to Covington and threaten more homes with projects like this without them being properly vetted. Thank you.
Paul, would you like to come up and?
Just briefly, and I'll try to keep my comments to the issue, which is whether we're tabling it and not the merits of the case. But certainly, again, I would submit to you that I believe 60 days is enough. If 60 days is not enough, I understand what Mr. Martin is saying. I respect his comments and the comments of the others about having due notice. And a week before your meeting in December, I will absolutely know whether this matter is going to be tabled or not, and I will certainly allow or contact Dr. Martin so that he can let his group know. But I am hopeful that we will be in a position to move forward. Nobody is more eager to move forward to a conclusion than my client is. With regards to Mr. Martin's comments about this being somewhat complicated and perhaps needing more time, if and when we get to your meeting, he may very well be right. And I would tell you that in other circumstances, this commission, whether sitting as a zoning commission or a planning commission, have granted extra time when that was necessary. And if we get to that meeting and Mr. Martin believes there needs to be extra time, that is not something that I would oppose. So we would ask that the matter be tabled. Give us the 60 days. We will stay in contact with them, hopefully be in a position to move this forward in December.
Thank you. I'll bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Doherty.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Before I make a motion to postpone this till December, I want the public to understand it's not the commission that is calling this meeting that staff and administration is going to have. So it's therefore not up to us as to who's going to be invited and who's not going to be invited. And I hope y'all understand that. So I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to postpone this particular case to the December meeting.
I have a motion to postpone by Commissioner Doherty. Commissioner Randolph.
Second.
I have a second by Commissioner Randolph. Any more discussion? If not, please vote.
Motion carries.
Okay, next case that's requesting to be postponed, I believe, is 2018-1227 PP, Ashton Park, fourth and fifth filing. Developer owner is First Horizon, Inc. Engineer is Benchmark Group, Inc. Parish Council District Representative, the Honorable Chris Ganulet. Is anyone here? Is anyone here representing this case for postponement, or
I informed
staff? Do
them,
you have any
yeah.
comments?
The Department of Planning and Development failed to meet the advertising obligations for a public hearing, which states that signs must be posted on or in the vicinity of the subdivision at least 10 days prior to the public hearing. Therefore, in accordance with section 125-96D, the development must be postponed.
Okay, so we just forgot to put the signs up, or is this?
We didn't meet the 10-day in advance public notice, so.
Okay.
And we'll
It'll be reposted.
It'll be
Yes.
reposted and your sign will be?
Yes, so it'll be on the agenda for November.
I have somebody in the audience who wants to speak against this postponement? Is that correct?
Well, I want to understand what's going on.
Come on up to the podium and your name and address, please, sir.
Yes, Carlos Del Real, 300 Mansfield Drive. I'm an Ashton Park resident, and there was an announcement posted at the entrance of the subdivision, and the neighbors who live there already, more than 120 residences.
Yeah.
We were expecting to hear what's going on with these additional several hundreds of homes being added to our subdivision.
Right.
So, how do we know what's going to happen?
Unfortunately, it wasn't posted in time. The required time that the state has, that the parish has to place these signs. So the signs are placed out there, but it wasn't within the time frame in which allows us to go ahead and hear the case. So the case will be postponed till next month. Is that correct, staff?
Yes, that's correct.
The case will be heard next month, for sure.
And we're gonna repost the sign with the new date on it.
And a new sign will be placed on the property.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any more audience participation? If not, Commissioner Doherty.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will make a motion to postpone this case, 2018-1227 PP, to the November meeting.
To the
And
November
that meeting is November the 6th, I believe.
No. That's the zoning commission. We're the following. So we're the
13th? Yeah.
13th.
13th.
Okay.
All right. I have a motion to postpone by Commissioner Doherty. Commissioner Fitzmaurice, for 1 month? To the November?
November 13th,
To November 13th
2018.
meeting.
You second?
November 13th, I'll second, yes.
I have a motion by Commissioner Doherty and a second by Commissioner Fitzmaurice to postpone for 1 month. Please vote.
Motion carries.
The next case to be postponed, or request to be postponed, is a final subdivision review. 2018-1197 FP Southern Oaks, Phase 1, Ward 1, District 4. Developer owner is Yannon LLC. Engineer is Kyle Associates LLC. Parish Council District Representative is the Honorable Michael Lorino.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Paul Maroon on behalf of Yannon LLC. If you'll notice the pictures in your packet, you will see that it just has not stopped raining long enough to allow the site to dry out so that we can finish the work to a point that we could reasonably request that you grant us final. So we would ask that the matter be tabled. We would ask that it stop raining during the month of October so that hopefully we can come back to you in November with a finished project for your consideration.
Now, Paul, do you really think 1 month is going to be enough time?
If it stops raining, I do.
Okay.
And we are looking for dry weather over the next 10 days.
Okay. All right.
Hopefully.
Is there anybody in the audience that would like to talk about this postponement? If not, I'll bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Fitzmaurice.
I'll make a motion to postpone to November 13th meeting.
A motion to postpone by Commissioner Fitzmaurice for next month. Commissioner Willie.
Second.
A second by Commissioner Willie. Please vote.
Motion carries.
Okay. Now we go back to minor subdivisions. 2018-1231 MSP, a minor subdivision of a 3.082 acre parcel into Plot 7A and Plot 7B, Miners Road, Mandeville, Ward 4, District 7. Owner petitioner is Linda and Norman Miners. Surveyor is Turner Surveyors LLC. The Parish Council District Representative is the Honorable Jacob Groby. Staff?
The reason for the public hearing is that the proposed parcel 7B does not meet the minimum requirement of 1 acre. The applicant is seeking a waiver of the minimum lot size requirements for a minor subdivision of 1 acre. Staff feels the applicant is able to meet the minimum requirement of 1 acre due to the size of the parent parcel. Staff recommends the commission deny the request as is. If the commission decides to approve the request, a waiver of the regulations is required relative to the parcel size and community water and sewer. A 2/3 majority vote on full membership of the commission is needed in order to approve.
Thank you. Is the petitioner here?
Good evening. I'm Linda Miners. I am here to represent my husband and myself. This property.
Your address, please?
I'm sorry, 1700 Highway 1088, Mandeville, Louisiana.
Thank you.
This property is a parcel that has been in the family since the railroad was on Highway 1088. Norman's grandmother divided the property among her 7 children. She had 40 acres. We only have this 4. When the properties came before the council, and it was the first one that was subdivided according to the new ruling as to the acreage. Everything that is owned by the miners is in the acreage. To ask us to give 1 acre at a time is really unreasonable. There isn't anything that would be to the rear of our property or across the street where there is a subdivision that the Fountain subdivision is on like 12 acres and has 50-something homes, something that I fought when it was being developed. And here we want to give our child, we don't want to develop it into a subdivision. We just want to give our child a parcel of ground that is less than the acre and have some left to be able to give to our other children. It's not something we want to develop into any subdivision, nor is any of the other 40 acres going to be developed into a subdivision. This is between Highway 59 and the next road would be the Fountain subdivision. But all of the miners' property is to stay, and the intention is for it to stay within the family. But because we have many children that we would like to share his inheritance with, we would like to just try and get it down to where we could have just the 66/100ths of an acre for our daughter.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Is there anybody in the audience? No? Bring it back to the commissioners. Commissioner Casabon.
Yes, this again is, I've known Ms. Miners many years, and she's one of the original families to St.Tammany, and she is correct. This is family property, and I don't have a problem with it, but I see we have to do a waiver for, what is it?
The lot
The
size.
size, yeah.
And the sewer and water.
And the sewer and the water. So I'll make a motion to approve with the waiver.
I have a motion to approve with the waiver. Commissioner Willie.
And also to mention, in the general scheme of things, the zoning is A3, which allows for half-acre lots anyway, so I'll second the motion.
And we have a second by Commissioner Willie. Any more discussion? If not, please vote with the waiver.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is petitions and requests. Dove Park subdivision, Square One, Lot 16, Ward 4, District 5, surveyors H.C. Sanders and Associates, Inc., Parish Council District Representative, the Honorable Reichert Toledano. This is a request to build on a substandard lot of record. Staff?
The parcel does not meet the 70-foot road frontage required in Dove Park subdivision. That's the reason for the request. The petitioner is requesting to build on a 50 by 205-foot lot within Dove Park subdivision. Per section 125-84 contiguous lot rule, lots within Dove Park subdivision are required to have a minimum lot frontage of 70 foot. Staff does not have any objection to the request, as the petitioner has the opportunity to purchase lot 16 without the option to acquire any adjacent property.
Is the petitioner here for this case? No? Interesting. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to talk? If not, I'll bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Lauren.
I have one question. Would you look at the staff report that we got? The last sentence, maybe I'm not reading it right, but it just really doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
So part of the request is that there's 2 lots on either side of lot 16, and each one of those property owners is not willing to sell part of their parcel. And if they did, they would make their lots less than the 70 foot. So it's a 50-foot lot that's standalone by itself, and therefore there's no opportunity to make it any larger than it is.
But read with me.
Oh, I missed a word. Okay.
Yeah, it's just a little wordy.
Okay.
It says the petitioner has the opportunity to purchase lot 16 without any option, so he can't, either it's going to be used this way or it's not going to be able to be developed at all.
Right.
Okay, that clears it up.
We have a motion to approve yet? No, okay. Commissioner Casabon.
Yes, since staff doesn't have a problem with this, it makes total sense, and I don't have a problem with petitioner not being here. I will make a motion to approve.
That's a motion to approve. And Commissioner Fitzmaurice.
Second the motion.
Commissioner Fitzmaurice makes a second to approve. One comment, I do have one comment before we vote on this. With a 50-foot width, the 205 is fine. What are the setbacks?
It's going to be 25 feet in the front. I believe it's 10 on the sides.
10? So it'd be
And
30
then 20, I think it's 20% of the length of the lot for the rear.
So basically, it's the 30-foot house, 30-foot frontage.
Right, and,
And the petitioner understands
when the
this.
petition, yeah, they understand that, and they
okay.
actually, sent a plot plan, that showed that for,
Oh, okay. All
I
right.
think they did.
With that being said, please vote.
Motion carries.
Okay. We'll continue on revocations, none, subdivision review, none, dormant subdivision, none, tentative subdivision, none. And let's see, we did that. We're down to, I think we're down to one case now. And that's 2018-1229-PP preliminary for Beatico Creek, parcel 6 and 7. Developer owner is Beatico Creek Preserve LLC. Engineer is Kelly McHugh and Associates LLC. Parish Council District Representative is the Honorable Marty Dean. And this one's for Paul, is that correct? Or,
I'll read the staff report.
staff report, sorry, staff.
Preliminary plans and hydrologic study have been reviewed by this office and an inspection of the site was made. It's recommended that the preliminary submittal be approved, subject to the following comments. On the preliminary plat, number 1, update the plans and legal description to include the green space on the west side of parcels 6 and 7 in this phase, as it's not been previously included in any past phases. Sewer and water plan, number 2, the proposed 4-inch water line needs to be approved by Tammany Utilities and permitted through LDH. Informational items, no funded maintenance obligation is required since this is an extension of a private subdivision. No mandatory developmental fee is required at final submittal in accordance with St. Tammany Parish Code of Ordinances. Since a public hearing was held prior to January 1st, 2005, the developer is hereby advised that upon application for final subdivision approval, the engineer of record for the development shall certify in writing that all aspects of construction have been completed in accordance with the approved plans and parish ordinances. If any construction is proposed that is not in substantial compliance with the approved plans and parish ordinances, the engineer of record for the development shall certify in writing to the Department of Development prior to beginning said construction activity. The developer and/or engineer of record shall obtain written approval from the Department of Development prior to beginning any proposed construction activity that is not in substantial compliance with the approved plans and parish ordinances. Revised drawings will not be accepted prior to the October 9, 2018 Planning Commission meeting to ensure that any additional comments at the meeting can be incorporated into the revised plans.
No postponements and no variance.
We would simply ask that this matter be approved, subject to your staff comments.
Thank you.
Nothing further.
Is
Thank you.
anybody in the audience would like to make any additional comments? If not, I'll bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Doherty.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd make a motion to approve as written. Thank you.
Motion approved by Commissioner Doherty. Commissioner Lauren.
If I had, I'd have put a gold star on your forehead for this one. This is one of those rare ones where we don't have a list as long. I'll second the motion.
Thank you.
We have a motion by Commissioner Doherty to approve and a second by Commissioner Lauren. Please vote.
Mr. Richardson? Okay, don't touch it again, please. Nope. Okay, yeah. Motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, amendments to Chapter 125 subdivision regulations, nothing. Any old business? I believe we have some old business, don't we? For next month's, well, that's zoning, I'm sorry. Next zoning agenda is gonna be published, correct? For the previous month that we forgot?
Oh, for the Ashton Park case?
Yeah.
So we are going to repost it for the November meeting, and it'll be re-advertised for the November meeting, and it's gonna just come under regular
Okay.
business.
Preliminary, thank you. Any new business? Mr. Shane?
May I?
Sure.
With regard to the case on your preliminary docket this evening, 2018, 1053 PP, the preserve, I spoke with Dr. Martin, Mr. Campbell, and Mr. Allen in the alcove after the postponement and told them at their request or concurrence, I would formally request that that case be placed under old business at your November meeting so that you could then set it on the December agenda. And that way we would comply with their request that both cases be heard in December. The time I asked for the indefinite postponement, I thought that was music to your ears and their ears. As the evening went on, I realized I was the only one hearing the music, but it does make a lot of sense for both cases to be heard. So I told them I would put this on the record publicly so they would know they don't need to come in November. We're not going to hear the case. Hopefully you guys would put it on your December docket, and we will abide by the same comments Mr. Marone made, meaning that if we don't think that the case is ready to go, we'll let them know. But we also know that I'm gonna have an obligation to report to you in December what's going on with this project. Why is it not being heard? I mean, I hear it loud and clear. So, and I'll communicate with Dr. Martin as I told him I would from the get-go.
Okay.
Thank you.
I will, with that being said, I think we're gonna have to make someone's gonna have to give a motion to reconsider. And,
No,
I'm just giving notice.
no?
Jimmy,
I
he'll
think y'all
just,
explained to me, Mrs. Avant said all I had to do was give notice to get it on the November hearing. And all I'm doing now is requesting that it be under old business in November, which is what you had stated.
Correct.
To be placed on the agenda for action in December.
Well, that's right. I mean, if staff's satisfied with the method that you've just conducted to put it on November for the commission's consideration, that's fine.
So we don't have to?
No.
Okay. Okay.
Don't leave, Mr. Shea.
Commissioner Baggett.
I don't want Mr. Shea to leave. I had an
Jeff?
acquaintance of mine, Jeff, you're familiar with this, and this is before I'm ever on the commission or anything, and he called me because he knows I was on the parish council for years and years, and he has about 100 acres on Highway 36, and he wanted to sell a piece of land. Somebody wants to buy it, and it turns out that in maybe 1912 or sometime it was divided into a subdivision, which we call a paper subdivision. So the parish has informed him, before he can sell the land, he has to pay the parish for the right-of-ways to all these 50-foot lots, which to me seems very unfair. And this never used to be the case years ago, when I was on the council. Is this something new? I'm just asking. And why?
it's gonna be part of the revocation process. It was a platted subdivision, and therefore, the rights of way were dedicated to the parish. So they have to go through the revocation process to then take that property into private property.
So they gotta pay the parish for the right-of-ways?
Yeah, they'll be assessed, and they can decide if they wanna pay for it or not.
You familiar with this, huh, Jeff?
Client
Because I
of mine.
sent them to
Yes, sir.
Jeff.
I
And-
am, and we've had extensive discussions with Mr. Keller 4, 5, or 6 months ago. And because they are, in fact, appear to be bona fide right-of-ways created by the recordation of an ancient subdivision plat, current parish law requires that, first of all, the planning commission would need to make a finding that the right-of-ways are no longer needed for public purpose and can be revoked. And assuming they make that finding, then there's an appraisal process that the parish engages in, I think with 2 appraisers, but maybe I'm mistaken, but the point is, they establish a fair market value, and then the council actually has to ordain, I think, that the revocation be effective and the property be sold to the property owner, because he owns on both sides of the right-of-way.
So is it a possibility that this person say that there's, in 100 acres, there's 10 acres of right-of-ways? Could he donate 10 acres of land to the parish in lieu of the right-of-ways?
I don't believe so, but we'd have to talk to legal about that, but I don't believe so.
Okay.
Well, that was pursued. It is possible, I have done a revocation before where there was a swap of land to the parish in exchange for the right-of-way that was revoked. But it presupposes that typically a councilman and an administration think it's in the best interest of the parish, in lieu of taking compensation, to take a parcel that would be of equal value based on the appraisal of those right-of-ways. So that would be a discussion and a negotiation
With the
with the
landowner?
parish councilman and probably the administration.
Okay.
Hope that helps.
Thank you.
Commissioner Casabon, you have some? Motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn.